I'd like to welcome Brad Kuznetsov to talk to us about the mental health.
Good afternoon. I believe anything is possible. People have a potential to achieve anything. And our job at Premier Healthcare is to get people healthy and well so that they can go back to their lives and reach their dreams. I'd like to ask people who work for Premier Healthcare and for Center for Specialty Therapy, please stand up. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Now, this team makes impossible possible. I want to share a great success story about one of our patients named Frank. Frank is a 33-year-old male who was born with cerebral palsy. As a result, he cannot communicate. He has no motor skills. He cannot move. But Frank can dream. And some of his biggest dreams were to be able to communicate with people, to be able to achieve anything he wants in life, to have a family, to get a specialized career. And Frank got married. He even has an 8-year-old son. And when Frank was little, he was given an illustration book to use to communicate. But that wasn't enough for him. He wanted to be able to put his thoughts into words. And 4 years ago, he came to us and he saw one of our occupational therapists who evaluated him and said, "You are a perfect candidate for an eye gazer." An eye gazer, for those of you who don't know, is a device that you can use to communicate. You look at the buttons, you look at the letters with your eyes, and it verbalizes for you. Really science fiction, high-tech stuff. And Frank got that device. He was trained to use it. And now, everywhere he goes, he's got it attached to his wheelchair, and he's able to communicate with people. He was able to achieve one of his biggest dreams, to be able to communicate with people through words. And now, as a result of that, he even decided to go to college this fall because he wants to become a computer programmer. Anything is possible. We have another patient. Her name is Jennifer. She's a teenage girl who is terrified of dentists. I don't know about you, I am terrified of dentists myself. So we put her through the desensitization program, and desensitization program, as the name implies, it gets you desensitized to the dentist. So now she loves going to the dentist. She calls them tooth fairies. I mean, I want to get enrolled into that program so I can call my dentist a tooth fairy. Now, I want to finish with a really amazing story that I heard once about a man named Michael Downing. Michael Downing was a man who was asked after World War II to go to Germany to speak to the wounded soldiers. And he traveled to Germany, and he got into the room, and he saw these soldiers who were wounded, who were shot, who were amputees. They had very little hope in their eyes, and he began to empathize with them. Michael was a very successful businessman. In fact, he was the president of a very successful bank. And he began his speech by saying this: "I want you to know that anything is possible. I hope you dream big dreams because you have a bright future ahead of you and a potential to achieve anything that you desire." And the soldiers were not in good spirits. They started booing Michael, and the booing got so bad that he had to sit down and he had to stop. And suddenly he reached down and removed his prosthetic right leg and put it on the table. Then he reached down and removed his prosthetic left leg and put it on the table. Then he removed his right arm and took off his left hand. See, what soldiers didn't know is that when Michael was 14 years old, he was caught in a very bad blizzard with his parents riding in a wagon, and he fell off. And by the time the parents realized he was missing, and they came back to get him, he had such severe frostbite that he had to have both of his legs amputated, his right arm at the shoulder and left hand at the wrist. Michael was able to empathize with the soldiers because he knew what they were going through. He lost all the hope in his life before. And sitting there, a stump of a man, he began his speech all over again by saying this: "I want you to know that anything is possible. I hope you dream big dreams because you have a bright future ahead of you and a potential to achieve anything that you desire." Now, I have to imagine that was one of the best speeches ever given. And with this message, I want to leave you by saying, let's do the best job we can to support people we serve so that they can achieve dreams, because anything is possible. Thank you.